And I think AI scares people because the future scares people, right? It's like that's one of the scariest things sometimes is the future. So I think a lot of times you associate because a lot of times when people mention AI, there's a little bit of fear, it seems like, from people.
Yeah.
There's fear that it's going to take jobs. There's fear that it's going to take over our ability to think for ourselves. Yeah, there's just kind of some general uncertainty there. Like, is this, and it kind of feels like fear a lot of times, but a lot of times fear is just a lack of knowledge, right? And not a lack of knowledge because you didn't want to know, just because you don't know.
Yeah.
Or that you're dumb, but just because you don't know. What are positive things that we're going to see with AI, right? I want to start there.
Yeah. So I think first, like, the AI industry, we don't do the best job explaining this. And I think sometimes we make it seem all sci-fi and genuinely we're part of the problem in making it seem scary, right? But one thing, for example, is like, I think AI is actually going to create a ton of jobs. And that story is not told enough. But, these jobs that we're producing, or this sort of this opportunity that we're providing on our platform, Outlier, like, that's only going to grow as AI grows. So
because you have to have new data.
You have to have new data.
And the only place you can get new data is from people. Will at a certain point would the system be able to create, it can probably matriculate data, or matriculate, is that with birthing, or what is that?
Yeah, it just moves through, like.
Okay. It can probably like quantify and give you answers, but can AI create new data?
No. So I think, it can do a little bit of that. So AI can help itself create its own data, and help itself a little bit. But ultimately, most of the progress is going to come from, people who are able to help really the model get better and smarter and more capable at all these different areas.
Yeah, I didn't see that part of it. I didn't understand that we are the ones who are giving it information. And since we're going to continue to learn, I would assume that we would be able to help it continue to help it learn.
Yeah, and the world's going to keep changing, and we're going to need to be able to keep teaching the algorithms, keep teaching the models about how the world's changing. So, this is actually a big thing that I think most people don't understand. The people who are getting the opportunity now, who are earning money from it, see it. But as AI grows, there's actually going to be tons of jobs created along the way, and tons of opportunity for people to help improve AI systems or control AI systems, or overall sort of be a part of the technology, not just sort of disenfranchised by it.
Okay.
So
so do you feel like are other ways, like if you had to look into the future a little bit, right? So you have the fact that people are going to be able to add more data, right?
Yep.
And add nuances to data.
Yep.
Right? And probably humanize data a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
And then you're also going to have what?
I think you're going to have a lot of jobs around, as AI starts doing all these little things throughout the world, who's going to keep watch of those AI, and who's going to make sure that those AI aren't doing something that we don't want them to do. So almost like managing the AIs and keeping watch over all the AI systems, that's going to be another thing that we're going to have to do. And then it's
so somebody to kind of guide the river a little bit.
Yeah.
At a certain point, guide the stream, stay in there, watch, make sure that answers are correct, make sure the information is honest.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think, for example, we're not going to just have AIs going around and, buying stuff and doing crazy things, and we're gonna keep it controlled, right? Like, as a society, I think we're gonna keep it controlled as a technology, and I think there's gonna be a lot of jobs for people to make sure that the AI doesn't go out and do crazy things that we don't want it to do.
Right. So you're going to need managers. You're going to need facilitators.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
What are some jobs that could be at risk because of AI, right? Because you start thinking that, before I was talking to you, there's this general fear of like everything could be at risk, right? But when you think about it, you're like, yeah, these are some jobs that, they won't disappear, but there might be less of them, right?
I just think we'll be doing like a different thing. So,
because a lot of our fans are probably just blue collar listeners, like just people that work in, like you're still gonna need a plumber, you're still gonna need an electrician, you're still gonna need anything where you have to physically do something, you're probably still gonna need.
Yeah, for sure. And then even stuff where you're like, let's say you're mostly just working on a laptop, and even for those jobs, like it'll just change. Like instead of my job being like, hey, I have to do the work, I have to literally do the work on a laptop. It'll almost be like everybody gets promoted to being a manager, like because I'm going to be managing like a little pod of 10 AI agents that are doing the work that I used to do, but I need to make sure that all of them are doing it right, and that they're not making any mistakes, and that if they're making mistakes, I'm helping them get around those mistakes. Like it's just gonna. The way I think about it is that like literally over time, everybody will just be upgraded to being a manager or sort of promoted to being a manager.
But can you have that many managers, you think?
Yeah, because I think that the other thing that's going to happen is the economy is just going to grow so much. Like there's going to be so much, like there will be like industries are going to pop off in crazy ways. And so, the limit is going to be how many AIs can you have? And then you're going to be limited in terms of the number of AIs you have by the number of managers that you have. So it's going to
right, because you need air traffic controllers. You're going to need as many of as you can have.
Yeah, well, that definitely, but
you're right. But I mean, in any field, you're going to need like just more managing. You need more people to oversee and make sure that that different things are happening, because some of the smaller tasks will just be outsourced.
Yeah, and just so much more stuff is going to be happening, right? And that's kind of
right, because once these things are all kind of taken care of, more things can happen at this second level.
Yep,
that's a good point. Yeah, you don't think about that. Once some of the things at the first level of certain businesses are handled,
yep,
more easily by AI, then you're going to be able to have more people operating at a higher level.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like always the history of technology. Like when we started developing technology that started making farming a lot more efficient, all of a sudden, people could do a lot of other things other than farming. And then, all of a sudden we have big entertainment industries and big financial industries and,
barbecue cook-offs, man. I'll tell you that. Second, some of those guys got the weekend off. They was grilling shit that I knew.
But yeah, so it's all about like us, everybody leveling up to be managers, and then also everybody, just way more ideas are going to start happening. Like way more ideas are going to start becoming a reality. And so I think it'll be pretty exciting. Like I think it's just like a lot more stuff is going to happen.
What are things that AI will alleviate? Like what are things that will it eventually be able to have enough information or data where it can like cure diseases and stuff like that? Like, is that a realistic thing?
Yeah, that's super real.
Wow, like cancer even.
Yeah, cancer. Heart disease. Like all these diseases.
Boy.
Yeah,
cancer on its heels.
but
sorry, Antonio Brown was just here. I think there's still some smoke in the air. So
no, but seriously, I think that AI. One thing that we've seen, this is kind of wild, but AI understands like molecules and biology better than humans do, actually, because it's there's this thing in AI where it used to take a PhD biologist 5 years to do something that the AI can just do in a few minutes, right? And that's because just the way that molecules and biology and all of that works is something that AI happens to be really good at. And that's going to help us ultimately cure diseases, find, pharmaceuticals or other treatments for these diseases, and ultimately help humans live longer.
Because that's very data-driven, right? Like that's very specific. It's very mathematic.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a huge tool for us to cure disease, for us to help educate people, for us to, there's a lot of really exciting uses for AI. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing that will touch most people in their lives is it's really going to be a tool that'll help you, make all of your make all your dreams kind of become reality, if that makes sense. So I think one of the things that AI is going to be really awesome for is today, if I have like a million ideas, right? I have thousands and thousands of ideas, and I only have so much time, so I can only really do, a few of them at a time. And most of the ideas just go to die, right?
Yeah, they do, huh?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
It's a huge bummer. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, they may have some of the best ideas ever, but they just, they're too busy or they have like other shit going on in their lives. They can't make those ideas happen. And it's great sometimes when people are able to make the leaps and make them happen and like devote themselves to their dreams. But that doesn't happen enough today. And one of the things that AI is going to help us do, I legitimately think so, is it's going to help us turn these ideas into reality much more easily. So, you can, you're making a movie. Let's say you have another movie idea. Ultimately, I think you'll be able to tell an AI, hey, I have this idea for a movie. What could that look like? Maybe draft up a script. Also, who are the people who can help, fund this idea? Like who those people be? Can you help reach out to them? And then who should we cast in it? Basically help make the whole thing instead of this like daunting thing that these big projects, they're usually so daunting. You really don't know where to get started. You kind of need a person to help you get through them. Instead of that, AI will help you get through it and like help do a lot of the sort of less glamorous work to make them a reality.
Wow.
And I think over time, it'll also be able to start doing a lot of the legwork for you. Okay. So it'll be able to reach out to people for you. It'll be able to, figure out the logistics. It'll be able to book things for you. Like it'll be able to basically help do all the legwork to make whatever it is into a reality.
So very much an assistant in a lot of ways.
Yeah. An assistant, co-pilot. The hot word in the AI world is agents, but it's just it'll be something that'll help you. Humans are going to be in control. Humans are ultimately going to be telling the AIs what they want it to do, and then hey, what do we want? What do we want these AIs to do? It's ultimately going to be to like help us execute on and accomplish all of these ideas that we have.
So a genius could be 3 or 4x. If somebody's a genius in something in some realm or space of thought, you could 3 or 4x them because they like multiply their output from their own brain because they could have something really helping them get done a lot of the early work on things and maybe some of the most severe work.
Yeah, totally. I think one thing that I always feel like kind of sucks is that if you have a director you really like, they're only going to make a movie once every couple of years. So even if you have a director that you think is amazing, it's hard for them to make that many movies, because it just takes so much time and effort, and there's so many bottlenecks and stuff. So in a future with more advanced AI systems, they could just churn them out, and they can make so many of their ideas into a reality. And I think that's true not only in creative areas, but it's kind of true across the board. You can start new businesses more easily. You can, you can make various creative projects that you have happen more easily. You can make you can finally plan that event that you and your friends have been talking about for years and years. So it can just really help you. We think about it as giving humans more agency, giving humans more sort of sovereignty, and just enabling humans to get way more done.
So say, for example, you might need to hire people at a company then that would help direct your AI, like somebody who's good at managing AI.
Yeah.
And giving it the best prompts or the best way to ask it questions.
Yeah.
To get the perfect feedback for your company.
Yeah.
So those would be new jobs. Those would be actual new people you would need.
Yeah. So tons of new jobs, right? Well, first, I think just helping to, kind of what we were talking about before, these jobs around helping to improve the data and contribute to the AI systems, that's just going to keep growing for a long, long time. And then as AI gets better and it gets used in more areas, then there are going to be a lot of jobs that pop up just exactly as you're saying, which is what's the best way to use this as a tool? What's the best way to leverage it to, actually make some of these applications or, whatever you want to build a reality?
Yeah.
And then there's going to be folks who need to, once those are built, how do you keep improving it? How do you keep making it better? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it going? And then how do you also make sure it doesn't do anything bad, right? How do you make sure that the AI doesn't accidentally spam 1 million people or whatever it might be? And you make sure that it sort of is operating in a good way.